Good morning, everyone. My name is Rick Jenkins, and I'm the director of the South Carolina Manufacturing Conference and Expo. Welcome to SCBiz TV, and welcome back to day 2 of the state's most significant manufacturing event of the year. Yesterday, our viewers heard from 22 different speakers, panelists, and presenters, all sharing information about how Industrial 4.0 technology continues to shape today's smart factory and how it will continue to do so in the years to come. Today, you will hear from an additional 16 professionals, many of which will be sharing insight on how we will build the workforce of the future. Where do we find employees with the skill sets needed to operate these smart factories? We'll get some answers today. Also, South Carolina Governor Henry McMaster will close the conference this afternoon with a keynote address on the state of manufacturing in South Carolina today and what we can expect tomorrow. Before we get into today's first session, I want to share 2 housekeeping items with you. First, running concurrently with our 2-day conference is a virtual expo, and it includes more than 100 exhibitors. You'll find that navigating the exposition is simple and intuitive. When you enter our virtual conference center, just click on Exhibit Hall. And by the way, the exhibit hall will be available to visit, network, and build relationships for the next 30 days. Actually, it's quite simple to listen to our conference speakers while walking the expo floor. Just open a second browser window and you can multitask. Second, we have approximately 20 training courses available for manufacturing employees, human resource executives, and managers in all industries, as a matter of fact. You can access those training courses at any time simply by going to scbizupskill.com. Let's get on with today's agenda. Our opening session today features a keynote presentation by Jonathan Weiss. Jonathan is the Vice President of Emerging Technologies for Software AG. Now that's a title that's becoming a little more popular these days. Software AG is an enterprise software company with more than 10,000 customers in 70 countries. They provide business process management, data management, and consulting services worldwide. Jonathan is an innovation and technology enthusiast, and you'll see momentarily that he is quite good at presenting technical topics in an easy-to-digest fashion. He has worked with some of the world's largest companies, including P&G, Pfizer, Pepsi, Intel, and many others. Today, Jonathan will be sharing firsthand knowledge about many technologies that manufacturers are currently adopting, and he will explore the types of talent needed to manage those technologies. So without further ado, this is Jonathan Weiss, Vice President of Emerging Technologies for Software AG.
Good morning and welcome to the second day of the South Carolina Manufacturing Expo. My name is John Weiss, and I'm super excited to be here today to kick off the session and tell you a little bit about tomorrow's industrial workplace and how new technologies are being adopted by organizations to change the way we engage in manufacturing, supply chains, heavy industry, and all the above. So before we get into it, I'm going to shamelessly plug myself here and encourage all of you to connect with me on LinkedIn, Twitter. If you've got some time and you want to listen to a podcast, I have a podcast called Lights Out. I'm a super social guy and I love to get feedback from the community. So would really encourage you to connect with me and I'd love to hear from you. So without further ado, let's get right into it. I wanted to start today off by explaining where new technologies are being adopted. And when I say new technologies, I'm talking about things like augmented reality, advanced analytics, and predictive analytics, and all of these fun kind of buzzwords that you hear about all day, every day. Leading the pack, not very surprising, it's manufacturing and industrial use cases. And what you can see is that it has had significant growth year over year, but also it's continuing to trend upwards. So if we were to double click here into manufacturing, I want to talk a little bit about why manufacturers are using new technologies. Some of this might be obvious, but hopefully some of it is a little bit thought provocative. So first and foremost, organizations are looking to achieve a new sense of hyper awareness so that they're increasing productivity through understanding better their operations, their processes, and what's happening in real time on the shop floor, throughout the supply chain, so on and so forth. And so the ability to gain visibility into production is critical, but it only becomes super valuable when you can take that information that you've gathered and actually draw some conclusions from them. I call this evolving the business or creating actionable insights that help you make informed decisions. Now, that connected awareness, if you will, and we'll talk about this a little bit more, is the foundation. Now, people are also looking to increase quality. This one's kind of a no-brainer, right? We all want to increase quality. We want to reduce quality defects, but how we're doing it today is becoming rather revolutionary. The way we are reducing waste, the way we are reducing quality defects through things like computer vision, and preventative and predictive and even prescriptive analytics. And we'll talk a little bit about some of these things as we go through today. And last but not least, organizations are looking to boost efficiency. They want to be better and faster about everything that they do through automation of processes. Right? So if you think about this as almost a maturity curve, if you will, it all starts with getting this hyper-aware connectivity, visibility into what's happening on the shop floor and throughout the enterprise. And it ends through automating processes to become better and faster about what we do. It's really important to understand that as we make better and faster decisions, it all starts with you, with your knowledge. Now, I've spent a number of years in this business. I'm a former GE guy. I've been in quite literally hundreds of factories all around the world. And I've worked on many, many projects where people are bringing in new machine learning and analytics tools to do some of the things that we've done manually in the past. And I've worked on some really big projects that I don't want to say they failed. We just found ways that didn't work, right? But it only really works if you have fantastic subject matter expertise behind all of it. So your knowledge truly is the foundation of how the job market and the workplace is changing and evolving. It all starts with you. Really important. So with your knowledge as subject matter experts, we are able to start doing things faster and better, more accurately through the use of artificial intelligence to drive what I call actionable insights, right? It's great to know that something has happened, but it's even better to understand the impact. That's how you get the most value, right? What does that mean, that event that just happened? Most importantly, how can I prevent it in the future so it doesn't happen again? Once we have this actionable insights coming through artificial intelligence, we're able to start doing things like automation. Now, automation is essentially autonomously doing things without intervention, meaning in my previous example where we know we need a part, well, let's fulfill that order of a replacement part without having hands on a keyboard to manually go and request that through a procurement channel, right? Or a fulfillment channel. It just happens on its own, right? That's automation. And again, to tie this back to your knowledge, because I know it's a little scary talking about automation and what does that mean for me and my role. And we're going to talk about this, but it all only works if the processes are exceptionally well defined. You can't automate what you don't understand, right? And your knowledge is what helps us understand what we can then later automate. Wanted to specifically call out orchestration. Orchestration is one of these things that can sometimes be confused or used synonymously with automation, but it's not the same. Automation is a specific task that can be run independently on its own without intervention, right? Orchestration is when you have many automation components happening. So think of them as cells, right? If automation is happening in a cell, orchestration is when you have many cells that are doing this kind of automation across the board. So this is really how we build in this pyramid, if you will, how we build a path to becoming faster and better. And this is what organizations are looking to adopt as they bring in new technologies. The common theme, I'm sure you've picked up on this by now, it's all about being fast to react, as quick as possible, picking up some information and doing something with it. So why is it so important that we're fast, that we do things autonomously, that we predict failures or predict problems before they occur? I want to explain why this is so important. This is a chart that shows a business event happening. Let's call it an unplanned downtime. That's the blue box. You have a finite time to act, which is that green circle, to get the highest value out of your reaction. The longer you wait, which is what the red circle shows, the longer you wait, you get the least value out of repairing or addressing that business event or coming back online from an unplanned downtime, right? When we typically measure unplanned downtime events in terms of dollars, right? And so the longer you are down, the more money it's costing, right? This illustrates the importance of doing it fast, right? Reacting to a business event as quickly as possible. And naturally, if we can automate a response, well, it helps us get up and running a lot quicker, right? This is something that Forrester research calls a perishable insight. The longer you wait and hold on to that information, the less value you'll get from it. Now, I wanted to put up some statistics because I know I'm talking about a lot of cool and advanced things, but I wanted to show you that this is not theory. It's not pie in the sky type stuff. This is happening today. And manufacturing organizations around the world and other organizations, not just industrial companies, companies as a whole are adopting these kinds of technologies. And I wanted to show you just how impactful they've been. 61% of enterprises are showing a high level of maturity in their adoption of these kinds of emerging technologies. That's really important. We used to talk about who's doing it, right? X percentage of CEOs want to do this stuff. The talk track has changed. The data has changed. It's no longer about who wants to do it and who is doing it. It's more about who is succeeding and who is farthest along the journey. Right? That should tell you a lot. The change is coming and actually it's here. 61%, more than half, have mature implementations. 63% expect that they will achieve a payback in only 3 years on that initial investment. That means not only are companies adopting it, they've already calculated the ROI and they're going to pay for, the project is going to pay for itself in 3 years. That's significant return. And 80% of organizations that have implemented this kind of technology have received a greater value or greater results than originally predicted or expected. 80%. Really powerful stuff, right? Adoption is certainly here and it's going full swing. And so where is this being applied most in manufacturing, right? Most of us think of probably smart factories, Industry 4.0, connected shop floor use cases. That's true. Now, fun fact though, that only makes up about half of manufacturing use cases. The other half actually are outside the four walls of the factory, whether it's supply chain visibility, fleet management, and logistics around cargo and shipments, track and trace of parts, things like that. But about half is inside the four walls of the factory. I want to talk a little bit about how the industrial workplace is changing. Okay. And these are, we're going to talk about three different buckets, and it's three things that companies are doing a little bit differently today and what they're planning to do differently in the future. First and foremost, organizations are putting humans in the loop. That probably sounds a little weird, right? Because we're involved in a lot of things. But if you think about it from an automation perspective, there was a period of time not so long ago where companies were trying to automate as much as they could and remove humans and remove workers in many instances from processes, right? That's changed a little bit now. And mature organizations have learned that the only way they get the optimal value from automation, from robots, right? It's to switch to more of a collaborative environment and use, instead of robots, cobots, coexisting robots that are safe to interact with people, right? They find that these technologies are most effective. These automation technologies are most effective when used with humans, complement humans, not replace them. And as a result, companies are now starting to reconfigure the architectures of shop floors so that humans can interact more with machines and become more efficient. Think about co-lifting parts with a robot arm rather than having to step very far away from the robot arm so it doesn't swing out of control and hurt somebody, right? Robots are changing. We'll call them now cobots if you're not familiar with the term. But they're now designed to work with humans. So putting humans in the loop is one. The other thing that is changing in the workplace, soft skills. Soft skills being critical thinking. And if you look at some of these stats, right, 65% of organizations that were polled by Deloitte in what's called a human capital study, 65% of organizations said that, you can see it right here, increase in technical skills. More than half of the companies are saying we're going to need better, stronger technical skills among our folks. 63% say that there's going to need to be an increase in complex problem solving. Why is that? Well, because a lot of what we do is becoming digitized. And when we talk about all of the emphasis on doing things faster and quicker, well, you have to have strong critical thinking skills in order to connect the dots so you can react as fast as possible. And as we evolve as industrial folks, and we take a step back from the machine control systems and we take a step toward dashboards and analytics, we have to learn a little bit more about how these tools can help us learn about our processes and how we can adapt our processes to become more efficient. All of this is critical thinking. And this is going to be expected of everybody, not just plant supervisors, not shift supervisors or managers, right? This is going to be expected from machine operators and everybody throughout the entire value chain of a manufacturing environment. And this last one is really interesting to me. So 82% say physical abilities will either stay the same or decrease, meaning, maybe good news for a lot of people here, right? Your job is probably going to become a little bit less physically demanding as we evolve to become more of data people looking at dashboards, right? And understanding processes more. It means we're going to have to be doing a little bit less hands-on so our cobot counterparts can help us out on that front. And last but not least, organizations are adopting what's called a digital toolbox. The digital toolbox of tomorrow is what I like to call it. It's going to consist of many things, right? Greater connectivity through factories, especially as we introduce 5G, being able to do things wirelessly that we never could have done wirelessly before. That's a really exciting topic for me. What else? Enhanced tooling through things like AR and VR, and we'll talk about that in just a second. And digitizing processes that used to be not digitized. So think about a shift handover that used to take place on a clipboard or on a whiteboard in a room, right? Maybe now that's all punched into an iPad, and the new shift comes in, you hand them the iPad, it has all the information there, and you say, good luck, guys, right? I don't know, but some of these things are what's coming in the workplace, and it's coming sooner than later. So let's take a look at the digital toolbox of tomorrow. And I just mentioned this one a second ago, the augmented reality, virtual reality being introduced into the shop floor. There are some really impressive use cases. One that I've played with hands-on down at the MXD Manufacturing and Design Innovation Center in Chicago. MXD has a section of the floor that Stanley Black & Decker has built a really cool demo. Uses projectors, and it overlays essentially work instructions to how to assemble a hand drill. And it's monitoring you the whole time. And if you don't do the step correctly, the next step will not illuminate. So if you don't put the bolt on right, it won't tell you to move on to the next step until you follow the work instructions accurately. All of that's using computer vision and analytics. Really cool stuff. BMW here on the slide that you can see, doing basically the same thing. Very similar use case. They're using AR and VR for assembly to increase efficiency and reduce quality defects. So people don't have to guess about what to do. Right? It's very clear. You put your AR, VR goggles on, and you just follow the work instructions step by step. The parts highlight and illuminate right in front of you, and you know what to do next. The second one is wearables. And if you can't tell what this picture is, this is actually an exoskeleton suit. Granted, not in a factory, but I think the use cases will be very valuable in a factory. He's just fixing a camera or enjoying breakfast or something, I'm not sure. But this exoskeleton is actually a motorized piece of garment. It's clothing. It's motorized, and it helps with lift assist, standing up, sitting down, squatting, lifting. It helps with all of that so you don't strain your back and your hips. These kinds of wearables are going to become incredibly common, especially as we start to look at social distancing and all of these kinds of track and trace sort of use cases. Real-time alarm and alerts on watches, getting push notifications, getting notified when it's time to do something, when your job has been executed on a machine, when a truck pulls up to the warehouse loading bay, right? All of these use cases can be done through wearables. And last but not least, analytics. Real-time analytics into what's happening on the shop floor, the supply chain today. How are your customer orders being impacted, right? All of this kind of data is going to become incredibly powerful, and is already incredibly powerful and critical for a lot of enterprises and organizations. Self-service tooling. I'm seeing a huge push right now for self-service tooling, meaning software tools that let you, as folks who are subject matter experts in the business and processes, software tools that let you harness your subject matter expertise and reach new insights through data mining and things like this. So you don't need data scientists or an army of software engineers to help you build new solutions or learn from your data sets. All of this, it's coming sooner than you might think. So anyway, folks, I think I'm just about out of time, but I really enjoyed talking with you today a little bit about what the workplace of the future is going to look like. Like I said in the beginning, I'm a really social guy. If you want to give me some feedback, or if you want to just have a chat, connect with me on any of these places here, and I'd love to speak with you. Hope you all enjoy the rest of the show and have a great time. Take care.
That was Jonathan Weiss, Vice President of Emerging Technologies for Software AG. Thank you, Jonathan. Our next session is building a next generation workforce. It starts in just a few minutes. To move to the next session, simply click on the link below to enter the next scheduled part of our agenda. If you wish to join us a little later in the show, just click on the session you wish to view, and all of them will be archived right here on SC Biz TV. As a reminder, don't forget to check out our virtual exposition, and check out also SC Biz Upskill, where you'll find a wide variety of training courses for manufacturing employees, HR execs, and other industry leaders. We'll see you right back here in just a few minutes.